out sometimes, but there you are. However, there's nothing to replace an FA Cup semi-final, is there? And here we are at 0-0, starting the second half, with Spurs now playing from the right. That's Sheringham, and this is Paul Allen. And one or two players having to watch themselves now, 4 on a yellow card. This is Austin, who I thought had a very good first half for Tottenham. Adams finds Parler, taken out by Sedgley. This is Winterburn. Header by Mabbott. Just in case you didn't catch the substitutes' names today, Alan Smith and Steve Morrow on the bench for Arsenal, Nick Barnby and Gudni Bergson standing by for Spurs, who are now defending against Wright. He tries to find Campbell. There's Anderson getting back. Would you see any change in tactics, Trevor, at the start of the second half?
No, it's all the same as it finished, with Anderton wide and Paul Allen alongside Sedgley some ways further forward. Arsenal sticking to the same formation. I mean, the two alternatives, Smith and Barnby, are the two that always could come on if somebody's looking to add a little bit more of an attacking sort of balance to their side. But while it's 0-0, I think both managers will be a bit cagey of making any changes too early.
That was Selly. Mabbott. Allen's header, Anderton. Merson's touch and Samway's interception. Sedgley wasn't favoured by the rebound off his own player there, really, and Wright is offside. He's hardly seen an opening like that so far today, Ian Wright. Spurs have done their work on the man who's scored 8 goals in 4 FA Cup matches for Arsenal this season, and they knew he was the threat, and so far they've subdued him. But Spurs now have an injury on the far side, and I think it's Steve Sedgley who got a bit caught up there in a tight area and may have been caught by Ian Selly. Still waiting for the official attendance, but it's got to be something in the 70s, now that Wembley is an 80,000 all-seater capacity. And that's Sheringham. And this is Edinburgh. Oh, now Parler takes Edinburgh out. What did you make of that one?
Not a lot, because it's a wild challenge. Look, thigh high. I mean, I personally think that's a yellow card offence. I think it was on the blind side of the referee, so I don't think he would have seen quite how bad it was. But I mean, Edinburgh got past him, and there's no excuse for a tackle that high.
Well, it's caused more conversation between Mr. Don and Tottenham players. Sedgley and Samways both speaking to the referee as of this moment. They wait and wonder where the breakthrough in this particular semi-final is going to emanate from. All the goal scorers of the last one, Messrs Gascoigne, Lineker and Smith, not on the pitch at the moment. First two won't be at all, and Smith might come on. But Tottenham have a free kick, and as the said Mr. Smith watches, Messrs Samways and Anderton round the ball. Sheringham closing in on Linnigan. This is Anderton. And Arsenal had 3 men to clear that. It was Linnigan who did so, and then Austin for Spurs. Allen. Oh, it's a good ball. Vinny Samways to Naeem. Really stretched the play, and it stretched Arsenal a bit. This is Anderton, he'll try and stretch them more here. Mabbutt's up on the far side. Had space, and intelligent play by Gary Mabbutt. That wasn't a free kick or a corner, and the centre-back made it his business, with Anderton providing the cross to get into a dangerous position.
It was all set up by that original ball from Samways, wasn't it? Most people were expecting Mabbutt to head it back across, and so they gave him 3 or 4 vital yards, but he couldn't quite keep his half volley down.
That was a glorious crossfield ball by Vincent Samways, which completely changed the point of the attack. Here's Edinburgh. Oh, that's a good ball again by Tottenham. Samways again, Sheringham in the middle in a good position. Samways cross and picked out by Seaman.
Should have been in early. It was a good pass that released Samways. Sheringham had a yard or two on the back 4 of Arsenal. Wanted to cross in early, but as soon as he carried it to the byline, the space got squeezed out. But I think he made the point to Vinnie Samways get it across earlier.
At the other end for Arsenal, it's Wright. And he's forced a corner. Well, the Arsenal defence has coped just about with some promising Spurs attacking. Now it's Arsenal's turn to get up the other end and see what they can do. Got a corner which Hillier will take. Linegan with 4 stitches has come up to try and get the header. And there he is, in fact, but somebody went underneath him, and it's a free kick given. And whoever's gone down, there's a bit of concern. As there always is when a player gets a bang on the head. It may indeed be Gary Mabbutt. And that doesn't look very good.
He went down in the original foul, and so was on the floor, and you'll see Andy Linegan actually treads on him then as he comes through. See, as the cross comes over, he's shoved over, and then of course Linegan lands on him with his foot and studs, and that's what's caused the problem.
Well, he's something of a modern medical miracle anyway, Gary Mabbutt. He's well publicised as being a diabetic and has to give himself injections in the dressing room before the game and at half-time. And he's been concussed there, and the man who may have just caught him accidentally at the end, Andy Linegan himself, has had 5 stitches in a head wound during the half-time interval, but both those number 5s are warriors in the best sense of the word, football-wise, and they're going to carry on. And while that was happening, I've had the crowd figure confirmed of 76,263. That's a few more than were here yesterday. Not quite as many as 2 years ago, but it's the old story. Only Wembley could hold that size crowd for a semi-final. So why deprive people by going elsewhere? Here's Merson. Push. And the big question is, will the 76,000 be taken all the way into extra time as the crowd was yesterday? We've been playing 9 minutes in the second half, and it's Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Parlour for Arsenal, Ruddock for Spurs. This is Naeem. Edinburgh with Parlour. It's been a good battle on that side, or this side. Samways. Naeem. Edinburgh's continued his run down the left. Sheringham's moved into the centre for Tottenham. That's who Samways is trying to pick out. It was offside, but a lovely ball nevertheless, wasn't it?
He has got a terrific weight of pass, Vinnie Samways, and it just sits in that little hole now. Since he's been pushed up, he has lost Hillier. First 20-25 minutes he wasn't in the game, and the tactical switch has definitely given him more freedom, and he can put that left foot and use the ball wherever he wants to put it.
Edinburgh's header, Merson for Arsenal. It's Ruddock underneath it. That was out. It's a throw. Here's Merson again, up against Steve Sedgley. Well, he might have taken that if he'd seen someone there to give it to. Now, Linnigan has joined Campbell in there. This is Merson. And it's not now, it's Allen, and good chasing back by Lee Dixon, and then caught by Paul Allen. Well, he could have been allowed to play on, but the referee had already blown. Allen's foul. Well played by the England fullback, because that could have been a dangerous position at the other end had he not got a foot in. As it is, Arsenal have the advantage. A free kick, which Dixon himself has gone back to take. And Torsvet's already made up his mind to come and collect that. And he had the freedom of the 18-yard box in which to do so. Here's Austin, looking for Anderton. Adams comes over. That's definitely a foul. Wright goes down. You can see a very animated Terry Venables there between that forest of bodies, and what happened here was that Mabbott came in, and a clumsy challenge, he would admit, which gives Arsenal a free kick. And again, Sheringham goes back to Mark Linnigan. And Linnigan's in there, and so was Campbell, and Austin cleared. Good clearance too to Anderton. Must admit, the young right back who was at St Albans 3 years ago before he went to Southend, Dean Austin, is playing an accomplished game. I think it's tested his nerve as yet in his career. Here he is now. This is Campbell. And that's Edinburgh. In fact, both the Spurs fullbacks came from Southend. Justin Edinburgh, the first one, he played in the cup final 2 years ago. Header by Sedgley to Sheringham. This is Samways in the centre forward position. Naeem is to his left. On again by Samways. Edinburgh, the player, coming forward. Cleared by combination of Linnigan, Dixon, Merson, and finally Seaman. Still tight, isn't it, Trevor?
But it is, it's sort of taken on the pattern of that the first 20 minutes or so, where I think at least Arsenal have now balanced out the play. I mean, Spurs did finish that much stronger up until half-time, but since then, certainly, the game seems to have drifted into another stalemate.
That was Ruddock. Yes, 2 years ago when Spurs won the Cup and Arsenal won the League, they had a 0-0 draw here, as I recall, in the Charity Shield. And who's going to separate them today, if anybody? Here's Campbell, he might. Tries to find Wright. Oh, and it's Selly! Good save, and Wright's in! Double save by Torsvet. And the 18-year-old there could have made his name, Ian Selly. The chance fell to him, and he tested Torsvet. It's Campbell that sets up the play. Selly up with his right foot. Volley with his left. Good effort. Good save. And look at this as Wright comes in. Brave and decisive goalkeeping by Eric Torsvet. Here's Samways for Spurs. Now, is that going to open things up? Campbell again for Arsenal. And Wright goes through the middle. Cut out by Mabbott. Forward by Austin. youngest man on the pitch. Could have become a hero there, but this is Samways, and he's through for Spurs. Nobody up with him at the moment. And because of that, it looked a very tame effort, but in all honesty, Vinny Samways had nobody when he got the ball, making the ground quick enough to command a cross.
I think the only alternative he could have had was to come inside and try and get it on his right foot, because he so favours his left. He just sort of kept the ball a bit wide. But at the other end, that was definitely Arsenal's best chance. All came about actually when Neil Ruddock let Kevin Campbell have space to turn. Then he went past him on the edge of the area and toe-ended it through to Selly, whose first touch wasn't that good, but he did well to hit the volley, and then Torsved did well to retrieve the follow-up before Wright.
So, again, the game has a little purple patch, flickers into life, and here's Austin. The little pockets of incident increasing now as Merson gets away for Arsenal. Campbell and Smith switching over in the centre. It's still Merson. Anderton behind him now. Right! And he's put more difficult chances than that away this season. The goal there was virtually at Wright's mercy. It's a great run by Merson. He got round them twice over, really. And look at that. It seemed to spin off the side of his foot.
Well, Merson, a little bit fortunate to get past Ruddock there, but a great first-time cross, wrong foot's the defence. I don't know why Ian Wright sort of slid and fell over, because if he just stood up, side-footed it, I mean, 8, 9 times out of 10 he puts those away, and very good chance that.
Well, Arsenal are in full cry now. It's Campbell. But and he's pushed his man down. It's Justin Edinburgh who he's tangling with. The referee was right on top of it. He didn't give a free kick, and Sedgley's passed back. Campbell was frustrated because he didn't get a free kick for the challenge, and he took it out on Edinburgh, really. Now it's Selly for Arsenal. This is possibly the Gunners' best spell. Right. Winterburn. Oh, and there's a little collision off the ball there. It's Mabbott who's collided with Ian Wright, I think.
It was just Ian Wright sort of came short and then went to turn to run behind Mabbott, and Gary Mabbott didn't move, and so he ran into him, and it looks as if Ian Wright's come off worse. But definitely here you can see, just going out of the picture there, they run into each other, and Gary Mabbott just fending him off as he runs, and Ian Wright staying down, probably just caught a forearm or something in the face. But definitely two very good chances for Arsenal just before that, and as you say, it is their best spell, I think.
Well, I think it is. 18 minutes gone in the second half. It's still 0-0, but the last 10 or so have belonged to Arsenal. They've suddenly found some space from somewhere. That was Parler, and they nearly found a bit more there. This is a good piece of defending by Mabbott to Edinburgh. Now it's Samways. Naeem. Edinburgh. Still just an Edinburgh. And now Sedgley in quickly. Sheringham. But Arsenal break again. Winterburn looks for Wright. And again, it's a full-time job now for Mabbott, intercepting those. Sheringham gets it back. Helps it on. Anderton. Allen to his right. And Dixon and Linegan. Oh, Linegan drove it straight back against Anderton's foot. It could have gone anywhere.
That's when, of course, the back pass came into it. He suddenly thought, I can't knock it back to the keeper, I'll hit it away, and it hit Anderton. As you say, it could have ricocheted in.
Look at Merson here. He's gone half the length of the pitch and nearly the whole width of it. Wright and Campbell wait in the centre. Selly's there too. Selly did well. Wright. Well played again by Austin. This is Anderton, and now it really has opened up. Teams are finding space on the counter-attack like no other time in the game. Anderton will be disappointed with the pass. But maybe, as Trevor Brookings said in the first half, at Wembley, as the second half draws on, tiredness maybe creeps in here and there, and the openings do seem to emerge. 20 minutes gone in the half. Right to Selly.
Just a rush of blood there, wasn't it? Ian Wright finding one or two little gaps now with his pace and knocked it unselfishly black. I think Selly had a 1-against-1, could have composed himself. But still, very even Steven.
Well, the chances at the moment are going Arsenal's way, although at the other end, there was one nervous moment by Linnigan. Edinburgh to Naeem. Little touch by Samways. Oh, and an even better one by Naeem. Samways, oh, he didn't keep it in, according to the linesman. Adams up against Anderton, who beat him, and Linnigan had to step in. And that's a free kick given against Kevin Campbell. Ruddock takes the kick. Linnigan. Parler. Good turn. Plays to his left here. It's Campbell to Merson. Selly's out wide. Wright is through the middle. It's still Merson. Here's Wright. Ian Wright finds space. Good save.
Well, he got his hand to it, but it went through, and fortunately just went over the crossbar. Again, Merson finding that bit more space away from Sedgley. Look where Sedgley is. And Wright hit it very well. Fortunately for Tursfed, it was within striking distance and he could get his hands to it.
Adams nearly on the goal line. Linnigan forward again. Campbell's in there. Linnigan jumping. And Spurs playing a couple of short passes on the edge of their own area, but it's worked for them. Look at that. And here's Naeem, and Sheringham could get away here, offside. Offside against one of the two runners. It may even have been Sheringham who was offside and not the man to whom the ball went, Samways.
Yeah, they had an extra man there, Spurs. Naeem should have just had the extra touch. If he could have played it first time, Sheringham would have been in. But then by holding it up, he actually found Samways, but Sheringham had moved offside.
Well, Tottenham will know that they've allowed Ian Wright two presentable chances in this second half. They've got away with it because he sent one wide and Torsvet saved the other. There goes Wright again with Mabbutt. Anderton. Samways and Adams. That was out again. Halfway through the second half of this FA Cup semi-final, live from Wembley Stadium. Arsenal 0, Tottenham 0. Linnigan forward for Arsenal. Parler is the man chasing. Ruddock comes across with the challenge. Campbell. Ran off his foot to Ruddock, and this is Teddy Sheringham. He looks to his right. But, possession given away there. This is Winterburn. Merson, oh, that's a good touch. Winterburn goes again. Austin is with him. That's another good tackle by the young right back. Sheringham. Anderton. Allen. Linnigan came in heavily behind him. Free kick.
Two great defensive tackles from Spurs. Their first one from Ruddock and the second one from Dean Austin. As you say, he's played very well. One of the few in the Arsenal lineup who hasn't had one experience.
Well, he's acquitted himself excellently in this semi-final, and he now has a free kick to take. And Spurs have lined 5 up. Here comes Mabbutt now. Parler. Selly, beaten by Sedgley. Samways, Sedgley again. Sedgley's shot going away. Would you think that Tottenham would consider using Nick Barmby at this? Because, look, he's definitely thinking about some action here.
I think if anyone at the moment, Arsenal are looking the more likely to score, so Terry Venables might have it in mind to make a switch, because Sheringham is more often than not up there by himself, although Samways is joining in as much as possible.
So was Austin there joining in. And Spurs make a little ground. Sheringham, the man beyond Selly. And in fact, Hillier gets the header in. Oh, mistake by Ruddock. And Torsvet's there to stop Campbell. Now, Naeem. Sheringham pulls away. Naeem tries to find him off the chest of Tony Adams.
Very intelligent run by Sheringham. Naeem just couldn't quite get the height to clear Adams. Perhaps if Barmby did come on, I suppose Naeem, the hat-trick hero in the previous round, might be the one who would make way.
Well, he's certainly left his impression on the FA Cup this season, Naeem, whatever happens, and whatever happens to him at the end of the season, because the 3 overseas players in the Tottenham ranks, Naeem, Torsvet and Bergson, are all up for contract discussions, I understand. Sheringham. Austin. Looking for Samways and tried to flick that back inside to Sheringham. Adams across. Still glorious sunshine in London. I think he needs a little bit of a sunshade there. And Mabbutt, meantime, has made his way up to try and get on the end of this long throw. Ruddock is also in attendance. There's Ruddock, there's Mabbutt. Sedgley, Mabbutt. Samways, Anderton. Oh, he tried to get Allen through, but Arsenal will break now, and Spurs are undermanned at the back. Mabbutt and Ruddock have got to hurry. This is Parler. Naeem's making the saving run here. They're just about back now. Here's Dixon. Merson. Hillier. Selly offside.
He's unlucky. It's not an easy ball to get in, because Spurs always, and like Arsenal, go back just to the 18-yard box and then they stop, and then you've got to make sure you time your run and your pass perfectly, otherwise you will get that offside, and it's a free kick now to Spurs.
Sheringham to Mabbutt. George Graham's Arsenal trophy cabinet, lacking only the FA Cup in some ways. He's won the other domestic honours. In terms of managing, that is. He won it as a player, of course, here in the double team, but hasn't been Arsenal's luckiest competition since George became manager in 1986. They'll be here, of course, in 2 weeks' time for the Coca-Cola final against Sheffield Wednesday. But the FA Cup is the one that captures the imagination. It always has, it always will. And it's a tight game we've got here today. 25 minutes gone in the second half. Mabbott up for this free kick. Comes off Linnigan. Then Dixon. And Mabbott and Ruddock stay right in the heart of the action there. Ruddock's up, Sheringham's in there, it's Selly who tries to clear. Samways with Winterburn, Anderton squeezed past two of them and got a corner. Mabbott's up. Ruddock retrieves it. Wide it goes again to Anderton. And Mabbott's there still. So is Naeem here. Well, it almost became a pass to Anderton. Now, what's the thinking down there? I want to see Graham Kelly on the left there, the FA Chief Executive, keeping an eye on things from the touchline. Somebody's got his radio on, I can see. Wright thought he was fouled. His boot came off, in fact. This is Anderton. Sheringham. Anderton, as Alan Hansen said, has played as well as anybody for Spurs. He was in the semi-final this time last year for Portsmouth when he scored a goal in extra time. Here's Parlour for Arsenal. Still Ray Parlour. Now that's outside the area, just in Edinburgh, right under the nose of the referee. And there'll be no disputing that decision. There's the man with only one boot on, Ian Wright, but Parlour was the man who was fouled there by Edinburgh, and this is a position which, when it's all sorted out, Trevor, should give Arsenal some hope.
Well, it's getting to that twitchy stage as well, isn't it? Into the last quarter of an hour, what, 13, 14 minutes left, and it's just the sort of time when you don't want to concede. I mean, we've waited this long for the breakthrough, and both sides will be that wary of committing the extra man forward and conceding a goal so late now, because it will be difficult to get back into it. Although sometimes you get a double up, don't you? 2 goals in a short space of time. But I'm sure Arsenal, very dangerous at set pieces, will be trying to make the most of this.
Looks as though Ian Wright's going to continue at the moment with only one boot on. He's I think they've had to go to collect a new one from the dressing room, possibly. Maybe he's going to cross now to sort it out on the touchline. There was a little conversation between him and the referee there. Stuart Houston, the coach, throws out a new pair, or one new boot anyway. So that's given Wright the chance to do some hasty repair work, while his colleague Parlour is treated for the injury.
Well, there's the reason. You see the tongues come out, and at the moment he's just thrown the tongue off, but wouldn't be too pleasing if he got somebody stud in a tackle going through where the tongue should be.
Well, there speaks an experienced professional, and we've got a free kick then. Adams has now gone up as well. And Merson chips it in, and in came Tony Adams! And Arsenal have taken the lead, and the captain, Tony Adams, who scored at Ipswich in the 6th round and turned the game round there, has turned up again at the far post. He only came late. While Wright was coming back on the pitch, Adams came forward, and I think that threw the Tottenham marking. Look, he's the extra man, and there's nobody there. And with 10 minutes to go, Arsenal take the lead in the semi-final. Tony Adams, the scorer, with a header which goes across Torsvet.
You're quite right, he was totally unmarked, came late. I mean, Ruddock nearly got his head to it, but he was actually marking Linegan, and it was cleared both he and Linegan, and Adams was left with a relatively sort of simple header, and it was at the same spot, although the other side of the goal as the one he equalised at Ipswich, and you would have thought Spurs would have known about that.
Well, Wright's gone back over to do some more work on his boot while this is going on, and it was because of that, and because of the parlour treatment, that Spurs never saw Adams coming. He timed the run to the last possible moment, and nobody picked him up.
No, you can sometimes just go to sleep, lack of concentration, could have played its part, but of course now that's going to be the introduction of Marnby. He's got to come on.
Here comes Ruddock for Spurs, trying to do the same thing at the other end. Well, what a leader and a hero Adams is. George Graham was a bit worried maybe that his exertions in Turkey, oh, look at this now, Sheringham arguing. There was a right old scramble in that penalty area that Philip Don had to sort out. It's because Linegan actually seemed to knock into a Tottenham player or vice versa. And that all sorts of things are happening. 2 substitutions and arguments going on here. The referee is going to his pocket again. Let's stay with that first, because that's more important than the substitutions at the moment. And Naim's got to be very careful. He's already been booked, don't forget. I think it's Teddy Sheringham is it in trouble here.
Yeah, he's just got booked. Unfortunately, he laid a hand on, sort of just shoved Lee Dixon, who then fell over and was promptly got booked for his trouble.
Yes, it's there's activity all over the pitch, but no football. There's a double substitution about to take place. Nicky Barmby and Gudni Bergson to come on for Vinnie Samways and Steve Sedgley.
Well, I can understand Barmby coming on. I must say I'm rather surprised to see Samways be the one to go off, because I would have thought his intervention would have been needed.
Well, this semi-final has reached quite a climax here now. We are 8 minutes away from Arsenal reaching the FA Cup final. Spurs have to quell that celebration if they're going to force extra time. And there are some different expressions, to say the least, around the stadium. I was about to say that Adams was a hero in Turkey for England. He looks like being one for Arsenal again today. And this could be a really fascinating period of play. Campbell's gone down now, because if Spurs push up for the equaliser, as they've got to do, they might leave gaps for Arsenal to score a second. But the busiest man around, Gary Lewin, having to come on again, and this is the goal, Trevor.
Well, in the end, as you see, I mean, it's a free header. No one's picking him up running from deep. Once it clears Ruddock and Linegan, you see those two go up together, and Adams is completely free coming from deep, and he's got a good running jump and gets above everyone. It was a comfortable header, quite an easy goal.
He hadn't scored this season until the Ipswich Cup tie, you know, in the 6th round, and now he's produced one in the quarter-final and one in the semi-final for Arsenal, which will please his manager. Campbell is hobbling quite badly. That was the latest injury to check on. And it's going to be Austin to take the free kick for Spurs, who've got 2 fresh players on the pitch. Barmby is 12, Bergson is 14. Here comes Mabbott. That was Barmby there. It's Edinburgh. Merson looking for Wright. Ian Wright up against Neil Ruddock. Selly makes a run into the penalty area for Arsenal. It was Parler's injury that was really well, rather his run, which led to the foul and then the free kick, which produced the opportunity for Arsenal to take the lead. Here's Hillier. And Wright waiting in the centre by the penalty spot as the fans respond to Arsenal taking the lead. Here's Dixon. And Selly couldn't reach that. Spurs now have got a lot to do in what could only be 6 minutes. Adams might only be 6 minutes. Austin. Barmby. Sheringham. Austin well forward in this attack. Here he is now, number 2. Anderton tries to make it, but this is where Spurs will cluster forward, and in doing so, Campbell is definitely injured for Arsenal. This may be a case of Alan Smith coming into the action shortly, or even Morrow. Here's Parlour. Cut out by Edinburgh. Foul. Well, now then, there's trouble here. I think that's Lee Dixon again, and he's already been booked for an incident in the first half, and Lee Dixon could be facing the red card. It's going to be a sending off in the semi-final for the Arsenal and England right back. His second bookable offence, and he goes. Arsenal must play with 10 men. Lee Dixon sent off at Wembley. Trevor.
Well, of course, he's paying the ultimate price for that silly indiscipline just before half-time when he nudged into Naim and got the first booking. That one was a late tackle. It was one of those, he was never going to get there before Edinburgh. Was a bookable offence, but he's paying the price for that one just before half-time. As you see it come in, it's always Edinburgh's ball. His body checks him to make sure he doesn't get away. Has to be booked, but it was the first one that was the costly one.
Now, Alan Smith is on. This is Sheringham. So Alan Smith has come on. I'll tell you about it in a moment, because it happened while we were dealing with the sending off. Here's Ruddock. This is Edinburgh. Barmby in the centre for Tottenham. They're playing with a man extra now, Spurs. Naim. It opened up for Naim. Smith has come on wearing number 14 because Campbell was clearly injured and couldn't carry on. So it's Smith up front with Wright for Arsenal. But they're down to 10, and I suspect David Hillier will have to play right back now that Dixon has gone off. 3 minutes plus stoppage time on the watch. Can the 10 men of Arsenal hold on to this 1-0 lead and go through to the FA Cup final? Or can the 11 men of Spurs force extra time? Ruddock. Edinburgh. Anderton's the chasing player. Linnigan.
I mean, with only 10 men, I'd put Ruddock up for the last 2 or 3 minutes because you've got a spare man. Let's put him into the penalty area and give you a bit of extra aerial height.
Well, yes, and maybe Mamet at times as well. This is Edinburgh. Hillier with the challenge. He wants the ball to run, and it does. Well, now we're going to have a second substitution by Arsenal. Stephen Morrow has come out from the bench, and Ian Wright is going off. So if there was extra time, they wouldn't have Wright and they wouldn't have Campbell. Well, maybe George Graham thinks that Morrow can just keep it tight for these last 2 or 3 minutes. It's a gamble in a sense, because if there was extra time, Arsenal have forfeited their top goal scorer. But it's been done so that Morrow here can hold the fort in what's left of normal time, I suspect. Bergson for Tottenham. The last couple of minutes of the 90. Adams, the goal scorer. Challenged by Barmby. And that's Merson, and the touch wasn't really good enough, but Spurs in a bit of a crowd there. They can open it out now. It's Edinburgh for Tottenham. Sheringham in the centre. There's Naim. Oh, he's cut it back onto the roof of the net. He's appealing that it caught a player, is it? Anyway, a goal kick's been given. This has been a frantic 15 minutes, Mr. Brooking, hasn't it? Everything seems to have happened in the same period of the game.
I think, to be fair to Arsenal, they've had the better play in the second half, haven't they? Wright had 2 chances, Selly had 1, and then the goal came. Spurs, of course, have to come back into it the last few minutes, but Arsenal defended well and probably just deserved to have edged in front in the second half.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, but not much time to talk about it at the moment. We're in the 45th minute of the second half, but because of all these delays, over on the bench, they'll be expecting a fair amount of stoppage time. The fans' celebrations may have to be delayed at least. Well, the latest treatment has been applied, and David Seaman has the ball. Young supporters with differing expressions as he takes this goal kick. As we go now into the time that Mr. Don will add on for stoppages. Alan Smith. Here's Selly. Oh, he kept his feet very well. He also found Stephen Morrow. And that's come off Austin, and Torsvet saves the corner. What have Spurs got left? They've got Barmby on up front, fresh player. Adams goes across to make sure he can't get in there. Arsenal supporters impatiently whistling. Sheringham to head on, Adams to head out. Merson needs to win it for Arsenal. Smith, number 14. Now then, who have they got up front? Only Selly, it would seem. And now it's Ruddock to Edinburgh. Naeem. Ruddock. Abbott's taken a forward position again. Allen. Paul Allen. Going through them. Oh, and Morrow had to make the challenge. It's a corner to Tottenham. It's not all lost yet. Anderton goes across to take it. Never have they wanted something more from either Ruddock or Mabbott than here. Mabbott gets up, Smith wins it. It comes back out to Darren Anderton. In goes the cross again. Bergson arrives. Well, the watch says 47 minutes. Flick on to find Smith. They'll want him to hold this up, but he can't. Allen to Austin for Tottenham. Winterburn with Barmby. Morrow. Spurs throw. Bergson. Anderton. Oh, and Seaman had to make it, and he did. It came off his own player. It was a wicked deflection, and the goalkeeper makes a vital save. 3 minutes into time being added on for stoppages. Arsenal lead 1-0. Naeem. Oh, they've let him go a bit there. It's Edinburgh now. Bergson's in the middle waiting. Oh, and Linnigan. No, they gives it straight back to Edinburgh. Barmby. Flick on. Chance for Spurs. Headed back in by Allen. Anderton. Deflected off Selly. Anderton again. Well, what do you make of all that? Linnigan gave the ball back to Edinburgh. They're in a dreadful position for Arsenal.
Tiredness more than anything, wasn't it? Spurs with the extra man, putting a lot of pressure on. Can't get a clear-cut shot at goal. And when one or two shots have gone in, David Seaman's dealt with them very well. And perhaps even for him personally, erased the memory of that semi-final a couple of years ago.
Yes, I was thinking that very thing, Trevor, when he made that great catch off the deflection. But 49 minutes now we've been playing in the half. Forward by Mabbott. Sheringham heads on. 12 there is Barmby. Now they're going to get a corner right at the end. Now Arsenal sorted that out pretty well, or Winterburn did. Well, the days when matches used to last 45 minutes are long gone, or halves used to. I know it's all stoppage time, but it seems to go on forever if you're an Arsenal supporter, which, of course, we're not here, but we keep hearing them whistling. But for a neutral, it's been a gripping occasion. Forward by Ruddock. Oh, tiredness spreading all over. I mean, Merson could have collected that and got Arsenal back down the other end of the field. This is Anderton. They're giving Tottenham almost too much of a chance, the 10 men. And And still the clock ticks on. 50 minutes. Smith. Well, they're desperate to clinch this now, Arsenal, and Parler has the chance to put Merson through. He wants to hold it by the flag. He'll get challenged by Allen. Smith's in the middle. The flag seems to be the sufferer there. Spurs get the ball out. Arsenal shouldn't be pleased about that. Anderton, and he's got Mabbott away. Naeem's made the run forward, still Mabbott. And now it's Anderton. And still Spurs have an extra man, he's on the far side. Sheringham. Anderton coming in. And away by Parler. Well, I don't know how many more looks at his watch Philip Don needs. 6 minutes of stoppage time has now been played in this half. And Spurs still have a chance. It's Edinburgh. Parler challenges, and Arsenal are having to fight desperately back there to keep Spurs out. Now, what can Alan Smith do? Oh, he's gone through them. He's got past Ruddock. Good save by Torsvet, who needs to get the ball upfield quickly. Austin forward. Morrow. Well, this is if we're playing extra time, but we're not now. Arsenal are through to the FA Cup final to meet Sheffield Wednesday here on May the 15th. They have beaten their North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur by 1-0. George Graham is at Wembley twice in a season. And as their supporters celebrate, the goal by Tony Adams was decisive on 80 minutes. And Arsenal finished the match with 10 men, would have had to have tried to hold on to the lead because in extra time, a man short, it would surely have favoured Tottenham, but it's all hypothetical. Adams is the hero, as he was of England on Wednesday. Anderton is in tears, and Spurs' cup dreams this year are over. Arsenal have revenge for the semi-final of 2 years ago. Burying the memory of Gascoigne and Lineker, they've organised themselves today to meet what Tottenham had to offer, to smother it, and then to show resilience, fortitude and flair, let it be said, in the second half when they got on top. And tears for Tottenham. For Lee Dixon, mixed feelings, no doubt. Sent off, will he miss the Coca-Cola Cup final in 2 weeks' time now? The suspension may rule him out of another Wembley. That would be a sickener for him, and that's probably why George Graham is consoling him. Justin Edinburgh upset as well. A very emotional occasion between two such fierce rivals. Austin was superb at right back for Spurs, possibly their best player. But further forward, they couldn't hurt Arsenal enough. And Winterburn goes to acknowledge the... well, Merson has his own way of doing that. There might be a bit of celebration going on here. And Adams and Linnigan, well, that's a combination that's really bedded down now. And Merson's private party with the fans seems to have started already. Now, what is happening here? Arsenal are turning this into a bit of a carnival on the pitch. Generous applause by the Tottenham Hotspur fans. That's good to see. And one hopes the excellent behaviour that we've witnessed so far today continues on the way home to make these Wembley showpiece semi-finals a thing of the future as well as the present. I think Ian Wright's just getting a bit carried away there with Kevin Campbell, but they had a bit of energy left because they were both off before the end. Now then, can Arsenal go on, I wonder, and complete a unique double of one cup and then the FA Cup? But I think the man of the moment is George Graham, and our man with him is Tony Gubber. Well, he was with him, but I understand we can't quite go to that interview at the moment. The Arsenal players are milking every moment of it. Tony Adams there. We'll be all right on the night, it says. But as I was saying, they could now be on the verge of a double, but then so too a Sheffield Wednesday, aren't they, Trevor? I'm just thinking, we've got 2 cup finals and the same 2 teams in both.
Well, it is interesting, but I think Tony Adams was the man of the match, wasn't he, really? Definitely, and it was worthy that he should score the goal. OK,
so there we are then. Thank you very much, Trevor. And Arsenal have won the North London semi-final. They've beaten Spurs by 1-0, and they play Sheffield Wednesday here twice now. But the biggest occasion is the FA Cup final on May the 15th.
Well, they're great occasions, these semi-finals now at Wembley, and it seems as though they're here to stay. We can hear now from George Graham.
George, congratulations. Does this make amends for the semi-final defeat here 2 years ago at the hands of Spurs?
Well, that's history now, but I'm really pleased today. I'm pleased for all the boys, because our preparation for the game was very poor. I couldn't do anything about it. But I think we showed a lot of character today, and I think both sets of players played their heart out, and I don't think anybody can be ashamed of losing.
It got a bit tight for you towards the end, down to 10 men. It was backs to the wall and some desperate defending.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's typical Arsenal, and we're at our best when our backs are against the wall. But yeah, but saying that, I think Eric Thorsveld made more critical saves than David Seaman. I thought for the first 20 minutes, I thought we played very well, we controlled it, and then the last 20 minutes of the first half, I thought Spurs really came into the game and they controlled it. And then second half, as I say, Thorsveld made the important saves. And obviously, when we got the goal, Spurs had nothing to lose but push forward.
I don't suppose you expected a defender to get the goal for you, did you, Tony Adams?
Well, Tony Adams, I keep on at him. He's not scored enough goals this year, and he hasn't scored in the league, but this is his second goal in the cup.
But you're going to meet Sheffield Wednesday now in the final, and before that, you'll meet them in the final of the League Cup competition.
And in the league as well. So we've got to play them 3 times. So it'll be very interesting. I'm just glad it's such a big occasion, the FA Cup. It's the best in the world, National Cup competition. I'm just pleased to be there.
Thanks very much indeed, George.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, George. They had the better of the second half, Arsenal, didn't they? I mean,
yeah, they had all the chances in the second half. They deserved to win the game. But what can we say about Tony Adams? We mentioned at half-time, he had a torrid 5 or 10 minutes. That would normally affect most players, but he seems to thrive in adversity. He came out in the second half. Not only did he score the winning goal, but he was absolutely magnificent at the heart of the defence.
He's had a good week.
He's had a terrific season. He's playing really well.
We'll look at it again.
Played a captain's part.
We could reflect that it was a dead ball movement and aerial power that won an English game, as it were.
He stole up late, didn't he?
A surprise by Tottenham, because they're very well organised at set pieces. Tony comes in late, nobody's picking him up, and it's virtually a simple header from 6 yards out, and the goalkeeper's got no chance at all.
No goal from open play in the whole of the 90 minutes.
Look, he's on the edge of the box here, and he just arrives late, and that's actually a good ball in. And obviously he's delighted to score the goal.
Who had been picking him up before that in those situations?
Probably Ruddock.
Yeah.
Ruddock would probably pick him up with the back post, but
he couldn't pick both of them up.
Yeah, there was a lengthy stoppage, and I think that affected Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, affected their discipline, their organisation, and obviously they paid for it.
We were hoping that we might see Barnby a little earlier. It doesn't seem to be an awful lot of point in bringing a player like him on with, what, 5 or 6 minutes to go.
It's a tall order, really.
It?
It was when Hector was brought on. If you remember when England went out of the World Cup that time with just 6 minutes to go, I think. It is a long time, but it stays in my memory because it was a time when England didn't qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah.
It's hard to get into a game when you come on as a substitute at any time.
Yeah.
But, you know, 10 minutes to go, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
One wonders why Spurs didn't reproduce what we expected them to reproduce in the second half. There should have been more space, they had the more experienced players, and yet Arsenal took over the game in that period.
I think they got to grips with Anderton a bit in the second half.
Yes, he faded out of the game at that time, despite his supposed stamina. He didn't seem to be able to get into it.
And Naeem was disappointing as well, wasn't he?
Yes,
we said Naeem before the start.
Got them all late way this far, and then not very special
today. He's a bit
today.
disappointing. And they took Samwise off, who was one of the better players.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I hope you've enjoyed our football coverage here this morning and this afternoon, the semi-final. So it's Arsenal against Sheffield Wednesday. They meet first in that Coca-Cola Cup. Now, we've got some highlights of it for you tonight, if you just came in just now. And we've also got the league match, Forest against Aston Villa. That's at 7 o'clock, BBC 2 tonight. If you haven't had enough football, we'll see you then.